All right. Let me welcome y'all to another episode of Movie Time with your boy King. I hope all of y'all are doing well. Hope everything is going great in your life right now. Hope you have been watching some dope movies. And if you have, please feel free to throw them in the comments because I need more material to watch. So, it's been a while. Can't even tell y'all when the last movie review was. I mean, well over a year ago. I know I wasn't in this building, and I know it's probably, it might not even be this year. But we back at this like we never left. So, again, movie time today, we are going to check out, or we're going to talk about the latest release from DC, Black Adam. And if you don't know, Black Adam is restarting their universe, the DCEU or DCU, whatever you like to call it. And from the rumors, they have a team they're building and they're getting it together. Now, the reason why I think this happened was because Dwayne Johnson kicked in the door and told them a couple like 10 years ago, I want the Black Adam movie. But if you remember, like, what was it, 7 years ago or 6 years ago, we were dealing with that whole Snyder Cut thing, the Batman v Superman. So a lot of stuff got pushed back, and I think this was what that was. So let's get down to it. Black Adam stars, obviously, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Black Adam. We have Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone. She is one of the members of the Justice Society. Her and Adam Smasher, they're like the two kind of like newer underling. Adam Smasher is played by Noah Centineo. I think I'm saying this right. I'll probably not. But anywho, they did a great job. I got to give those two actors a lot of credit, especially for playing new, or not new, but like characters we haven't seen on film. They really did a great job. Then the bigger names that we have is Dr. Fate, who was played by Pierce Brosnan, and did a great job, and Hawkman, who is played by Aldis Hodges. If you don't know him, he's in a few other movies and TV shows. Pretty famous black guy. He's doing his thing. Now, to be fair, I'm not a Justice Society guy. I mean, I don't know too many people who are. I know people that enjoy Hawkman. I know people that enjoy Dr. Fate separately. But the Adam Smasher thing, the Cyclone thing, and there's many there. And to be fair, this iteration of the Justice Society is of the DC rebirth phase. So they do show the Atom, which was the Adam Smasher's goddad or whatever, godfather. But they kind of made it seem like he was his uncle or granddad or something like that, and he inherited the suit, which, whatever. Now, I'm not going to give you any spoilers because I definitely want people to go see this movie. Now, I don't want people to be like, oh man, you told the best part. So I'm not going to tell you who the villain is. I mean, you could figure it out for yourself, or you can go watch the movie. But they gave a great storyline. I really can't hate on it. They laid the foundation for multiple movies, not only with The Rock for Black Adam, but for Justice League movies, for Shazam's movies, for the Flash movies. Like, literally, he has been able to tie himself in, not only with the superheroes, but in the magic of DC. So anybody who is involved at all, they can actually implement Black Adam into that, universe. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out with Dark Side, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's something that's a bridge that they'll try to cross when they get there. Now, to be fair, the storyline is set up pretty dope, but it's a comic book. Like, they have a whole story, and they didn't follow everything. They didn't follow all the specifics, but it's just an intro movie. So I enjoyed that part, that we're getting set up for the next movie. Will hopefully have a lot more fighting, a lot more action that correlates with superheroes, and not just Black Adam beating the brakes off of vigilantes and other militiamen. Because that's pretty much what this movie was. Like, now don't get me wrong. I'm not doing justice by saying he beat the brakes off of them. That's not what he did. He annihilates people in this movie. When I say he spit roasts a dude in the first 5 minutes, bruh, he spit roasts a dude, like, with his hands, first 5 minutes of the movie. And I'm with it. I'm here for it. But there were certain things that, they could have done better. And I do agree. I think DC has learned from Marvel when it comes to going over the top early. And I think what they did in this movie was they downplayed a lot of things, but they used the CGI for flashbacks. Now, when they downplayed things, what I mean is they didn't have crazy monsters or big, huge, like Transformers with giant robots that they had to fight. They kept the villainy to a minimum. So the villains look good. The heroes look good. All the fight scenes look good. The only thing that I had a problem with was some of the CGI from the flashbacks, which it happens. You know what I mean? Like, you can't always manufacture a different body on the same face and it'll be clean. That's just technology. We haven't gotten there yet. Now, they might get there. So in the future, it'll look cleaner, I'm sure. Because it didn't look terrible. It was just noticeable. But I'm also a guy who watches a lot of movies, so I can pick out bad CGI. Now, other than that, I'll say it's really small details, but we'll get to that. Let's touch on the characters and kind of what they had to go through, kind of what they went, what parts they played in the movie. Like I said, Atom Smasher and Cyclone, they were two of kind of like the rookie style heroes of the Justice Society, while Dr. Fate and Hawkeye were leading the charge. Hawkman, not Hawkeye. Forgive me. Hawkman is just a damn Black Tony Stark. He is Black Panther in DC world. When I say rich, powerful, he had all the tools, he had all the gadgets. He was just that man. Don't get me wrong, they could give us backstory. I would have preferred a little more origin on each person, but maybe that'll come later. Don't get me wrong. We should know it because of comic book. If you're a comic book fan, or if you're into the series in general, whether it's animated or in the comics, you should know somewhat of what's going on. But to be fair, in the movie, they didn't really give that amount. They didn't give you backstories on anybody besides Atom Smasher and Cyclone. They do give more on them. They kind of give you Dr. Fate's situation, but they don't give his direct correlation with the helmet or with Naboo. Like they bring it up a little bit, and I wish they would have gave more. I wish that would have been a focal point. But again, like I said, it's an intro movie for Black Adam, so I'm not upset with what they had going on. I'm more looking for the future. So now, along with that kind of being the issue, on the flip side, I think what they did was they used a lot of that misdirection of why they're not talking about the other heroes who were there. Because they were there generally to contain Black Adam. Like, they were there to try to capture him. And I think they used that, we're not going to talk about that, to focus on Black Adam's character, who in the movie is Teth Adam. He isn't Black Adam yet. He's still the original. And Teth Adam he's really fighting an internal battle the entire movie. And I was here for it because you could kind of tell, it wasn't what people thought. Like, people thought he was a hero, and the Justice Society thought he was a villain. Pure point blank, he's not a hero, he's a villain. There was no gray area. And it's kind of like the same thing they do with, in DC with Deadpool. Deadpool is that anti-hero hero, where he does things for the good of his direct people, but he does it his own way. And there's a big difference as far as the powers, but there's no difference when it comes to the setup. You have a guy fighting for his family, in a sense. Deadpool, it was his wife or his girlfriend, whatever. And in Black Adam, it was generally for the community, but it was also because of his son. And I know in the previews they talk about how his son gave his life so that he could give him those powers, but they don't directly explain how he gave his life. And that was one of the parts that I honestly thought was pretty nice because they set it up in a way where when you see it, you'll understand that correlation to Shazam. And how, when Black Adam meets the Shazam crew, oh, it's on and popping. In my opinion, I believe it's on and popping. That's a movie that I'm waiting to see. I understand that the Black Adam versus Superman aspect is there, but people forget Black Adam used to beat the brakes off of Superman, like every time, because Superman has issues with powers, with magic, and you got those wizards over there who, you know what I mean, they little kids, yeah. But that movie coming out too, and I could almost guarantee y'all there will be tied in. Like if they're not, they should be. And if they don't, DC has ruined the franchise before it even started, and I'm done with them. But I don't think that's going to happen. But we will see. And y'all hold me accountable for that too. If they don't tie them two in right away, it's a problem. So, back to the goods of it. I will say this. If we had to wrap this movie up, if I had to give you generally my opinion, I will say they did well in all aspects, just besides the CGI. But everything else, masterfully done. You have great storyline. You have the DC darkness that they always use, but this time their darkness was matched with the violence. It wasn't like normal movies where, you know, the Justice League or Batman vs. Superman or even The Batman, where you have it very dark and depressing, but the violence is cakewalk. Nah, the violence is tuned up. They own boots immediately, and to be fair, it's entertaining because there is a good and bad aspect of it, but both parties are kind of not the best. But to be fair, one party is way worse than the other. So if you want to watch a movie where you really don't know who to root for, but you also know who you're not rooting for, this is that movie. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't just a good and bad. It ain't cut and dry. I'm not looking at, you know, Batman and Superman going, okay, yeah. It's the guy that I hope they win. Nah, son. I don't know who gonna win. And I really don't know if I wanted Black Adam to win. But then when at the end, you notice it wasn't about winning. It was more about making sure who should be in control would be in control. So that's my opinion. I feel if you gave me the opportunity to rate this in a 5 stars or whatever, I would probably give this 4, an easy 4. And if they did fix the CGI and maybe gave us the backstory, I'd give it 4.5, maybe 5. You know what I mean? Because it was just that good. It was laid out well. And even the parts where I felt were going to be a little corny, they actually fit the movie. They fit the movie well. It wasn't a over the top, Fast and the Furious type style movie. It was literally shot well, emotionally capturing. At no point did I feel like, oh, I'm sleepy. And I went to the 10 o'clock show. You know what I mean? I went to the last show. And I honestly thought this was a great movie. I'll go see it again, which I probably will. You know what I mean? But if you need my advice, Black Adam is a movie to go see. So, with that being said, y'all, I'm going to wrap up this movie time. My put on for this movie time, though, if you haven't seen Bullet Train, go see Bullet Train. I talked about that in my podcast, but definitely go see Bullet Train. And if you have, in a series, my series put-ons, I got to mention, I guess, 2 things. House of Dragons, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you should watch it, just to give you some good backstory on what's going on. It is what it is, so enjoy it for what it is, but it's the first season, so take it for a grain of salt. Everything you don't like, but try to get into it. My other put on is definitely Ring of Powers. Ring of Power is the prequel to the Lord of the Rings. It's definitely giving a lot of origin story vibes, and I'm here for it 100%. So if you enjoyed the Lord of the Rings, if you watched the Lord of the Rings and you remember the characters, you remember the storyline, please go watch Ring of Power. Now, I will warn you, the first 3 episodes are set-up episodes. They are not action. They are not a lot of talking. I mean, a lot of important talking. It's a lot of introductions. And if you know Lord of the Rings, like we all do who watch it, Lord of the Rings is story heavy. Very story heavy, action in the back end. This show is story heavy-ish, but the action starts right after the third episode. And it continues all the way to the end. So I encourage, if you stopped because you felt it was too dry and too slow, just try to make it through. Try to get to the 5th episode. If you get to episode 5, you'll love it and you'll keep going. And that's it. That's all it is. So those are my 2 put-ons. I hope you enjoyed this right now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hey, like, share, and subscribe. If you're listening to this on the podcast, whatever podcast station you're listening to it on, hey, make me your favorite. Comment. Share this with your people. At least, let's try to build this community up, because we got some listeners, but we definitely could always use more. So, all right, y'all. Till next time. Peace.